Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our Nintendo 2018 predictions discussion. Today we'll be talking about the Switch's third-party support, mobile, and their other business ventures. Let's get right back to it.
Okay, so I think we talked about first-party games enough for right now, so let's go ahead and move on to the third-party spectrum of things. And right now there are quite a few confirmed games for the year, and I don't want to read them all, except for Mega Man 11, because Ash will get it if I don't.
Actually, but before we continue with this, can we just look at this list, and we won't obviously read down the list that we've written, but can we just take a second to appreciate the fact that this is what the third-party list looks like already in 2018?
The fact that it's bigger than the first-party list, which is not that common for Nintendo.
Like, this is actually really great to see on a Nintendo console.
It is, and this isn't even all of them, let alone all of the let alone all the games that will be announced. So that is really the great thing here, is we don't have to dive into too many specifics here, but in terms of third-party support, I'm not worried at all for Nintendo in 2018. I think this is the year where we finally start seeing the fruits of how well of the Switch's success. A developer is finally coming on board with the system for sure, and games have already been in development that will be finishing up in this next year. So I really can't wait to see what all is going to be announced, because this is going to be a big third-party year for Nintendo, I believe.
Oh yeah. It's going to be huge. Like, even just in January and February, we have, an RPG in the form of Lost Sphere. We have a Minecraft-esque game in the form of Dragon Quest Builders, which I can confirm is a great game, at least on PS4.
Right.
I don't expect the port to be that bad. We've got a confirmation that Super Meat Boy Forever is coming out in January. And I believe Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, which is released in consoles last year, but still finally coming to the Switch in the same vein as Doom. I think by March, I don't remember the exact date, but I think by March it will be out. So yeah, even like Nintendo might not have much for January, February, but again, third parties and indies filling in those gaps.
Again, we're still getting those high-profile indies. Like, Derek, you've been whispering in my ear for months about how I need to play Owlboy, and now I will. Like, I wasn't going to play it on Steam probably, but now that it's coming to Switch, I can't wait to play that. You've got Runner 3, another big indie I'm looking forward to. I love Bit Trip Runner 2 on Wii U. So already the indie offerings are looking great. Personally, I know it's kind of silly for me to say this because I'm not like super hardcore into fighting games, but I'm actually really excited about Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, because it's Third Strike on the go. You've got these four representing every generation of Street Fighter, playable on a handheld format, online, on the go, and I just think that's so cool. So I'm excited about that, and of course Octopath Traveler, and there's already, we haven't even hit 2018 yet, and already throughout the year there are several games on this list that I'm so excited about. Obviously, Mega Man 11 topping them, but yeah, this is great.
Wait, Ash, we're not in 2018 yet. I just wished you Happy New Year at the start of this.
That's a good point. Good point. Well, we may as well be. We're so close,
You're ruining the illusion, Ash.
I know, it's true. The man behind the curtain. I'm allowing that look.
As part of those games, we're also getting Travis Strikes Again: No More Heroes, which is a game that was first announced back in January of 2017. I think that will be the last game that they technically announced then. I guess it was very vague then, but we now know that that's what they were talking about, and we're finally gonna get that. So
yeah, it's not a No More Heroes 3, but it's following along those same ideas, and I hope that we see more information about how exactly that game will play, because we saw a cinematic trailer for it, but we have no idea how different the gameplay is from previous No More Heroes games. But it's still really exciting to have Travis back. Plus, even beyond Mega Man 11, we finally have all the Legacy collections coming for Mega Man plus X, so tons of platforming in that way. I'm personally excited because Valkyria Chronicles 4 is coming to the system. That's really cool to see Valkyria Chronicles get supported on the Switch, and it even has a big exclusive RPG in the form of Shin Megami Tensei 5. Like, this is a hell of a year for Nintendo already, and we don't even know anything, just in terms of third party.
And speaking of RPGs, we don't have any confirmed releases coming up yet, or any new ones, but Square Enix continues to pledge heavy support to the Switch, just to the Switch in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing some major, something announced by them that gets people really excited on the Switch. I don't know what it would be.
Well, maybe Bravely Default.
Maybe a Bravely Third, or maybe maybe, who knows, FF7 Remake, or maybe that mobile version of FF15. FF15 Pocket Edition that wouldn't get people excited probably, but I don't know, I just kind of feel like because Square has pledged so much support that we're going to get something from them as well, like a new announcement.
I hope so. Maybe we'll actually get that Seiken Densetsu collection.
I know.
Do you think we'll get any Sonic games in 2018?
Sonic games? Maybe a spin-off, but I think after, we just got two major Sonic releases.
Spin-off?
Yeah, bring back
Sonic Spinball 2. Yeah, I don't think I don't think we will, only because we got two major tentpole Sonic releases in 2017, obviously one of which was awesome, one of which was not so awesome. But still, I mean, I think Sonic probably needs a break for 2018 because we've got two major games, so I wouldn't expect to see, if there is going to be a follow-up to Sonic Mania, which I do think there will be, I think 2019 makes more sense for that.
I don't know what Sumo Digital is up to, but I would not mind having a new Sonic racing game, like the
yes, please.
Sonic and All Stars game.
Thank you.
I think that would be a lot of fun because I still think I prefer Racing Transformed to Mario Kart 8.
Honestly, Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed was like the secret star for me of the Wii U's launch. I played the crap out of that game. It's such a great game. I would love to see Sumo Digital take another shot at the series on Switch. Yeah. Or on all platforms, really.
Yeah, and, Sega, bring back other brings back some of the other characters, Give us a Skies of Arcadia remake. Give Andre his Samba de Amigo.
I want my Samba de Amigo proper.
What you're saying, Derek, is that 2018 is the year of Streets of Rage Mania, right?
Heck yeah, let's do it.
God, I would love that. Yeah.
Bring back the boxing kangaroo.
That actually would be a great time for that racing game, too, with Mario Kart now being, a year old by that point, probably, at least. So, yeah, that'd be a good way to fill in the gap and beat Nintendo to their own game of the next Mario Kart, I guess.
One thing we do have listed here that I find of particular interest is that Capcom has recently been talking about how they are working on something Ace Attorney related for the Switch. We don't know if it's a port or a new game, but either way, I do hope, well, obviously I hope for both, but I actually am particularly hoping for ports, and I only say that because you can play the entire series now, I think, on 3DS and on iOS, which is great, or on mobile, which is great, but I really want to have the entire series playable on TV, because that's how my wife and I have experienced it together, and we love playing those games together, but we can never get through Apollo or any of the future games because they're only on 3DS. So I really do hope they take the same approach they have with 3DS and mobile and make the entire series playable, in addition to like a 7th mainline game. But I want to see the entire series playable on the Switch.
I could definitely see a compilation of the first 3 games. I don't know if they'll do a compilation of the following trilogy. Just because
I hope they do. I know.
Yeah, there's so much more recent. Like Apollo makes sense for that, but as far as
I'm not saying a compilation necessarily. I mean,
just
they're
the
still coming out on just the games, just like Switch ports. I don't mean like a compilation. I just mean release them individually.
Yeah, maybe
like they have been.
All right, so I think we covered the games pretty well so far. We may still bring up a few other things, but let's go and move on to something else that was supposed to come out in 2017 has been pushed back multiple times, now into 2018, possibly, being their paid online service for the Switch. We still know very little about it beyond the vague announcements they made during the January event. And yeah, that was originally, again, supposed to come out in late 2017, and we've seen no sign of it. So is this the year we finally get Nintendo's paid online service thing? Whatever it ends up being.
I think it's possible. Interpretation I've been sort of going with is they probably weren't quite happy with what their ideas were and how it was received, so they wanted to get something a little bit more solid. But in order to launch this new service, they want to have a big new game to go along with it that really takes advantage of it, because they haven't even done anything with that Switch Online app. Like, they have not done jack even though they have other online games available for it. So it almost feels like they're completely reworking everything, and that's why it keeps getting delayed, as they're trying to figure out what might work best. And honestly, if they get a paid online service out by the time a Smash game comes out and actually have some decent online for that game, that might be a good way to launch it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It needs a big game to launch with. Right now, the games that they have still have decently large communities like Mario Kart and Splatoon, but you need that excitement factor of a new game to really get people to pay for it, I think. Otherwise, people will probably just stop playing games. It's like, I've got my fill of Splatoon by now, I don't need to pay to play the same game I have for the past several months. Right. So, yeah, they're definitely going to need a big game to launch with it. And the big question is, what are we going to get for that money? Like, I feel like it needs to be beyond just playing these games online. They need to offer some other bonuses on top of that. We already know about, assuming plans haven't changed, about the getting one game a month for free, I believe, of old NES or Super NES games being playable online. But what else could there be? Do you think they'll offer more on top of that?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to.
Wasn't there already some news of the price point they were aiming for, though? Like, it was cheaper, I think, compared to others.
That's true.
Yeah,
it did come in lower than what people are expecting. I don't remember exactly what the price point was, but it was not... it wasn't even close to the typical.
I want to say it was like
a year.
Close to 30, around 30
or less.
Yeah.
I think it might have even been less actually.
I think it was less than that. Yeah.
I mean, it's somewhere around there, and we're still sort of off. We're not quite sure where it's going to end up.
So yeah, I mean, if they stick to that, I guess they don't have to offer too much beyond the base functionality.
Yeah, I mean that's really
For a
cheap.
year, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's really easy to just drop the money for that and get your online, and they just need stuff to support it. And again, if they're offering a free game with one that has new online capabilities every month, that's a good way to do it. And if they actually launch the frickin' virtual console with it, and we can actually start buying all the old games again, and perhaps even the GameCube games, which have long been rumored, that would also get people really excited.
Right. So that's another question. Do we see Virtual Console finally this year?
If we get the paid online service, we'll get virtual console. I feel like those are tied together.
I actually disagree. I don't think I think that Virtual Console as we know it is gone. I don't think we're going to see Virtual Console on Switch at all. And I think that's because of the classic line. But I do think we're going to see something. I think we're going to see Nintendo repackage their classic offerings into a Switch type service, but I don't think it's going to be Virtual Console because I think they want to keep their classics line healthy and kind of separate. So, yeah, they're going to do something with their classic game lineup. They have to. It's just a matter of how it kind of is related to everything in this sphere, like the online and the monthly game that they're maybe doing, like a monthly 8-bit or 16-bit game that they're adding online play to, that whole rotation thing. We don't really know how all the pieces fit together yet, but I'm pretty sure that Virtual Console, as we understand it, is gone.
Yeah, I wonder if the arcade archives line is almost a sign of that. Granted, I don't think those are being published by Nintendo themselves.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I feel like the Virtual Console branding is kind of gone at this point. It just feels kind of dated in general.
It does.
My hope would be, like, I would love if they did a Netflix type thing, where you pay a flat fee and you get access to a bunch of their catalog. I wonder if they could offer different tiers for their paid online service to get like the base functionality for really cheap. If you want to play more classic games, you just have to pay more per month.
Tier them with consoles, like such and such per month for one console unlimited. Do you want to add another console? That's add this much per month. I don't know, something like that.
I don't like that at all. I hate that.
No?
I hate that. I hate it. I think...
Why?
Because I don't own the damn game.
Oh,
I'm
I see what you
renting
mean.
the game from them, and I'm not getting anything out of it. And if I stop my service, all of a sudden...
What do you mean you're not getting anything out of it?
Okay, I'm getting the temporary ownership. Great. No, I don't... And especially with all the tiers lists, it becomes confusing, unwieldy. No, I don't like it.
Well, the tier list idea, I agree with you there. But,
Sure.
I mean, do you still buy movies?
No.
That's the thing, is like, if
exactly.
you use Netflix, there's no reason, I mean, if you don't have a problem with the Netflix, actual Netflix, I'm not sure why you'd have a problem with Netflix for classic Nintendo games. Because you already own them. You do have most of the games you'd be, quote unquote,
Yeah, how many
renting.
times do you already own these games anyway?
I mean, I guess, but you're paying for the convenience of being able to stream them,
Right.
Assumedly, of course, this is all conjecture, but I mean, I do kind of think though, I don't think we're gonna see a return of the model where you download individual games. Like, I kind of think they might be doing a subscription type thing, for better and worse.
I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's a big question mark. So
I feel like that requires.
I am getting tired of rebuying.
I feel like that requires a bigger online infrastructure than $30 will get us.
Well, and they could be two completely separate things. That's like, we don't know how these pieces fit together, which is what makes it so interesting. But I hear you. There's no way that we could pay that little and get a good streaming.
They're not going to let us download it. We have to stream it from that, and that causes its own issues, which is another reason I don't think Netflix would work for that, because there's a very big difference between streaming a movie, which who knows, I don't know how big that is offhand, and a game, which could, if you get into GameCube titles, get up there in size.
Yeah, what's so fascinating is we really have no idea what their approach is going to be, other than they have to have one because it's Nintendo and they hold the keys to the most prolific retro gaming library anywhere ever. So they have to find some way to monetize that on Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I know I myself am getting tired of buying these games over and over and over, and I've already afforded them one more. It's like, I'll do it one more time if it's promised that's locked my account for good. But that's why the Netflix model kind of appeals to me. I like the idea of paying a flat fee and getting access to their library of games without having to worry about rebuying them every time. It would allow you to dabble in games that you may not otherwise want to pay for. So the idea of not owning these games is fine by me. I really don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually am fine with that too. And normally I would be the kind of person who would have a problem with that. But I think because I already own so many of these games, like in a hard format, I mean, and because I am getting tired, like you said, Andre, I'm getting tired of rebuying these games. So I kind of would rather just pay for a flat fee just to access them. And I don't mean stream them. I mean, streaming was probably, I don't think streaming them necessarily would work,
I don't think literally streaming.
You could do a PlayStation Plus type thing where, you download them, and then you just, if you stop paying your subscription, then you can't play them, or you have to start your subscription again before you can access them again. I don't know, but either way, I do think there's something here that could work.
I mean, I could see them totally even having like a rolling catalog of games, again, like Netflix, and that would encourage you to try games.
Well, they were talking about that.
Oh yeah, well there we go then.
They just say a rotating selection of,
Right, I guess that would be for the 1 month free game, right? I guess.
And again, we don't know how these pieces fit together.
I don't know. I think of Netflix, and you think of, they don't have a ton of big ones, so I'm just imagining like bunch of NES shovelware, and then here's Super Mario Bros. 3 and The Legend of Zelda, and games you actually care about, but most of it's going to be crap that you don't really want to play again.
Well, wasn't that Virtual Console in general? I mean, like, I mean, look at the Virtual Console weekly release schedule over the Wii and Wii U. It took us over a year to get A Link to the Past on Wii U, and before that was a bunch of games that we wanted to play, and a bunch of games we didn't.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, but I agree with you. I hear you, Derek. Obviously, the quality of such a subscription service would live or die by its selection. If Nintendo does a crappy job curating its selection, then
I guess that's the problem, is I don't trust them to curate a good selection.
I don't either. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would almost maybe provide more incentive for them to keep it fresh, to keep people like subscribing, to keep providing interesting content. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's go and move on to, I guess, whatever else you might expect from Nintendo in 2018 in terms of the Switch. Like, do you see the OS getting updated perhaps beyond, any new features, revamping how it works? Like, I know a lot of reviews kind of peg the Switch early on, or dock the Switch rather, for having a pretty bare bones OS, and they haven't really added much to it since then, with the biggest feature probably being the recording functionality, which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they haven't done too much. Netflix still is on the Switch. So yeah, what are your hopes for the OS in 2018?
Themes.
Yeah.
I want themes. Like,
yeah.
Again, I've said this before, when I saw those basic black and basic white themes at launch, I'm like, oh, well, obviously you're going to be able to buy premium themes probably within a few months. That didn't happen, so I think this year we've got to see an OS update that allows you to buy premium themes. The fact that you can even select themes tells me that's happening.
One would hope, because I don't know why, I like the idea of being able to actually customize them. I don't like, the pure white and pure black is fine, but it's just, I feel like it could be so much more interesting.
Yeah, and why even offer just those two selections? It's just weird. Like, I feel like they wouldn't have even put that in there if they didn't intend to flesh that out with premium themes eventually.
Oh, especially with what they're called, like, I forget what it's called, like, General Black or Default, I think
it's Basic Black and Basic White.
Basic Black, yeah.
Yeah. Why even call it Basic if you're not going to, like, add... Yeah. I just feel like it's the writing's on the wall. They're going to start releasing premium themes based on various IPs, and I'm probably going to spend way too much money on them, but...
Maybe that's part of their paid online service. You got to pay for the themes if you pay for their subscription if you want the themes. Yeah.
Jeez. As far as Netflix, I feel like Netflix is going to be hit this year at some point, because we do have Hulu.
Oh, it's coming. For Netflix, first half of the year guaranteed, especially with Hulu, as you mentioned, now being on Switch.
And I think YouTube. I think we'll get a YouTube app on the Switch before the year's end.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I really hope we do, but I kind of think we will.
Well, all the typical ones you'd expect, like Crunchyroll and stuff like that.
Oh, I do hope that 2018 is the year of eShop music.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
I want the return of my eShop music, damn it.
Get some new tunes for the eShop and whatever.
Browsing the eShop is such a just soulless, just quiet experience now. Uh-huh. It doesn't feel right. I want that.
Do you think we're going to get a major shift because there's just so many games on the eShop now? Do you think they're going to actually change up how it looks and make it easier to find games and whatnot?
I hope so. I think they will. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I do think an eShop redesign is inevitable just because of how unwieldy the current design is.
It's pretty prolific. Does have just how many games you have to choose from on there.
Now, what do you guys expect from Nintendo in terms of updating games in 2018? We know that it sounds like ARMS has pretty much come to an end. It sounds like the major updates are done. They'll still do balancing patches or balancing fixes. But otherwise, it sounds like that game's content complete. But Splatoon 2, as far as we know, there's no sign of the end of the content yet for that one. And I'm just wondering what you expect in general. Are there any other games you expect updates to? Do you think we might get Super Mario Odyssey DLC as filler, until the next game? Kind of like along the lines of Breath of the Wild's DLC?
I hope so. That game is made for DLC kingdoms. I really want. Just the way the game is structured, just the way that you select individual kingdoms to go to, and even if you look at, I'm not saying this means anything, but even if you look at the kingdom list on the world map menu, it feels like there could be room for a few more or a couple more at the end. I don't think that means anything, but it just the way it's structured, I feel like DLC kingdoms, Odyssey is right for that. I hope they do.
I mean, Isle Delfino is on the map.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about that. It is. Maybe
it was on the pre-release map. I don't think it's actually on the globe in game, but they could easily reinsert that back in. But yeah, I think Ash, with you saying how it's structured like that, with how each kingdom kind of has two names. You have like the Metro Kingdom, you have New Donk City as a subset of that. So you could easily slot in like new levels based on that idea. Maybe, I don't know, Donkey Kong Village or something.
Yeah, or Isle Delfino. I would love to explore a completely just redesigned. I know you probably wouldn't, Andre, but I think Derek and I probably would. But I would love a new Isle Delfino with a bunch of new challenges and things to do. I think that would be cool. But yeah, I could see Nintendo supporting Mario with DLC. And I kind of think Splatoon 2 is going to keep getting support through June. I don't know if they'll do the same 1 year
Yeah, I think
model.
we're going to get a year of Splatoon 2 support, just like we did the original Splatoon.
Or July, sorry. I should say July, not June.
I can see it going farther than that. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend that for Splatoon 2. It's on a vibrant platform.
True.
And especially if they want to maintain that user base going into the paid service, the paid online service. I guess we'll see updates continuing to come down the line.
Maybe.
Well, that's a good point. And, the Switch is still so early in its life, and Splatoon already came out. They're not going to want Splatoon to peter out. They're going to want to keep it active and keep it fresh and keep it relevant. So that's a good point. They may support Splatoon 2 quite a bit longer than they did Splatoon 1. Or maybe they'll do a year of free support for Splatoon 2, and then they'll announce some paid DLC packs. Who knows?
That is possible. True. Yeah. Got to pay for your Octolinks.
Yeah.
Honestly, for DLC for Mario, I kind of really do want to have playable Luigi. Just because I have such fond memories of going back through Galaxy as Luigi.
Me too. I actually was kind of sad that didn't happen in this game.
That'd be great. Like they could give him his own campaign even, kind of along the lines of New Super Luigi U, where they reuse existing assets but mix it up a little bit. Throw in a few new buildings and hide more moons somewhere, assuming there's even anywhere to hide moons where they didn't already.
Yeah,
I can see that being fun. Like make it like a hard mode or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make it a hard mode or
Heck, give us Captain Toad levels based on those levels.
Oh, see, now you just opened up a whole new.
That could be a whole new game. Yeah.
Now you just opened up a whole new can of worms with me hoping for a Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2 on Switch, because I've been hoping for that. I've been nursing that hope quietly for months now.
I mean, that'd be a great way to fill in to fill in potential gaps. Like that could be probably relatively.
Oh yeah, you could just show how he found those moons that he gives to Mario in each one.
I like that idea. That's a really good idea.
They could even do. This seems to be the kind of game that would be right for porting because it was on Wii U, it was underplayed. This seems to be the kind of game they could port to Switch with additional content, like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker Plus or something.
I like Derek's prequel idea. I want the prequel.
Oh, me too. I like your idea more, Derek. I just feel like they might go with something like port. But no, I like your idea more, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else on Switch we want to touch on before we move on to mobile?
I mean, we do have the rumors about Monolith Soft's next project. We got artwork for it, plus they're hiring more designers, but we don't really know anything about it. So I don't think that's going to be 2018. It'd probably be likely a 2019 game. Another thing I'm very curious about is whether we'll actually get more information about Dragon Quest XI on the Switch, because it hasn't even released in Japan on the Switch yet. So that's something to wait and see.
That's been a slow trickle. Yeah, I feel like they've got to say something about it, but Dragon Quest just feels like it takes forever to come out. I mean, not only in Japan, but especially here, because not all of them were even released here. Like, we didn't even get Dragon Quest X. So, I hope we do. And of course, but 10 was online. 11 is a traditional offline experience. So, I would say that kind of throws weight behind the idea of 11 making it over here.
Plus, it was on 3DS as well, so
right.
And Nintendo has they've published a lot of the Dragon Quest games that have been released on their consoles. So like they did publishing for 7 and 8. So I can almost see them doing the same thing here, but that it really comes down to Sony since it was also on PlayStation 4. So I don't know where that's going to go.
Find out.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move on now to Nintendo's mobile efforts. 2017 is a pretty big year for them in terms of mobile, and I think they're going to continue that into 2018. And there were rumors earlier from the Wall Street Journal that a Zelda is already in the works for mobile platforms. And that has me, I mean, I'm excited just to know what it is, but also concerned as to what it could be. I don't want to look too much on the Zelda, but what are your expectations for Nintendo in 2018 as it applies to mobile platforms?
I think we'll get 1 or 2 more games, maybe some updates for what we've had before, but nothing too outlandish as far as what those games will be. Maybe that Zelda, since we've gotten those rumors and whatnot. Again, I can see Kirby, something Kirby related, and he's also just one of those. I think he's simple, which also works in the mobile format. I think something Kirby related would be my choice, at least for some new mobile game.
Yeah, I mean, well, my choice is obviously something that's never going to happen, but I do think it would actually be fantastic, and that's Rhythm Heaven. I think Rhythm Heaven for mobile it's an obvious natural fit for the platform, but of course, it doesn't jive with what Nintendo's purpose for mobile is, which is to really fund the rest of their stuff and just make money hand over fist. I don't think Rhythm Heaven really scratches that itch, but
I think more specifically their focus is to expand their user base. I think they want to use those games to advertise the bigger games.
And I don't think they're trying to get Rhythm Heaven.
It's not a good candidate in that factor.
But I agree with you, Derek. I think Kirby makes sense just because he's another A-lister Nintendo IP character that hasn't had a mobile game, and I feel like that. Got Mario, we know Zelda is in the works in some way, so I feel like Kirby makes the most sense. I do think we're going to continue to get a full year of Fire Emblem Hero support. As far as I understand it, that game continues to make money hand over fist, so as long as that continues to make money, I think we're going to keep seeing new heroes, new features, new modes, all that. I don't expect that game to die in 2018. Super Mario Run will probably continue to exist. I don't know how much it's going to be updated necessarily. I don't think it'll be updated as much as Fire Emblem, that's for sure, or Animal Crossing.
Well, it already hasn't been. Yeah, I mean, maybe it has one more update in it. I wouldn't be surprised if they wrap it up for Mario Run though. But Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing would definitely continue to get updates.
Animal Crossing, I'm actually curious to find out how that's doing, because the response to it doesn't seem to be as strong as Fire Emblem was.
I don't know. I've seen some people say they play the heck out of it and they've really enjoyed it. So I think it might be stronger than we think.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, I mean, the thing is, I feel like for us as hardcore gamers, I hate that term, but I'll use it for now anyway. It's our perception of it is very different from the general market, reaction. I think so. I think that game is probably still doing very well, even if it didn't quite hit all the beats people were expecting. People want from actual Animal Crossing. So I think that's why it might have died off for the hardcore fans. But for people that just play games casually, on their phones, I think it is probably doing well.
Probably is. I just mean, even in the sense when Fire Emblem Heroes came out, like, even though I don't play gacha games, or I'm not even a hardcore Fire Emblem fan, I was able to perceive that it was clearly received well, and that it was mostly what a lot of people wanted from a mobile take on Fire Emblem. I just haven't gotten that same sense from Animal Crossing, but again, I'm not necessarily paying super close attention either, so you may be completely right.
Yeah. So I expect those to get updates. Probably Mitomo as well, just because Nintendo will always update that game. Everyone's forgot about Mitomo. And I do expect at least 2 new games. They've been hitting 2 new games per year so far. I think they'll continue that. One being Zelda. Who knows what the other one is? Maybe Kirby. And of course, there'll be like probably 500 mobile Pokemon games as always. But Zelda, that's what I'm most curious about. Like I hope. I don't think they will. This is why I'm concerned. Because I would love if they followed the Mario Run template. Like, make Mario work on a mobile platform as a self-contained game. I don't need, continuous updates or motivations to pay for things or to speed things up, as in Animal Crossing. Just let me pay for the game and I'm done with it. I don't think that's going to happen though, and that's why I'm curious as to what it's going to end up being, but also why I'm concerned.
I don't know either, especially because, Mario Run's a bit different in that there's very limited input required. It's an automatic runner.
Right. Yeah.
So
how do you simplify Zelda? Right.
Yeah, I don't see how that could work in Zelda. I don't know how you can have a Zelda game that plays itself essentially with only limited. Unless you just have Link exploring a dungeon in a canned, it's like a guided experience and just monsters come around and you have to attack them at the right time. But that sounds so lame, though.
No, that's came to my mind. You remember that? It's been a long time now, but you remember when they first got the Unreal Engine on mobile and they made this game that was all about swiping and everything? I forget what it was called.
Infinity Blade, I think.
Yeah, that might be it. Infinity Blade.
Yeah.
Maybe a Zelda game like that, where you're swiping and everything, instead of in the Skyward Sword universe, just because...
It could be that, yeah. Or maybe something where you have to just, pick different weapons to deal with the right kinds of enemies. So, you switch to Link's arrows to deal with oncoming aerial enemies, or... use bombs to blow up Dodongos.
Crossbow training, like that's what we needed.
Like crossbow training style.
Crossbow training was fantastic. I will not hear the sarcasm.
I'm not no sarcasm.
All right, cool.
I think that would work.
It would. I mean, I actually wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that where, I mean, obviously it would have touch control. So I'm thinking maybe like they could give Link an item that allows him to control dungeons or interact with things remotely, so you don't actually see Link on the screen, because to interact with things in a dungeon on a room-to-room basis. So maybe they have like touchscreen puzzles in each one. I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they translate that. So maybe you just tap on an enemy to get rid of them or attack them. Who knows? I'm curious. So
yeah, I think we all want to know. I can't fathom. I mean, for a little while there, I was thinking of a Four Sword style experience, but then I thought very quickly about how much that would suck without traditional controls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it could take so many different forms. It'll be interesting to see what they go with.
So I guess the final overall point that I can think of for the year before we wrap it up is just what do you think Nintendo might do in terms, or what we might hear from Nintendo in terms of, other, non-gaming initiatives, such as their movies or their theme parks. As far as we know, the theme park is still 3 years away by this point, 2 to 3 years away. It's opening in 2020 in Japan, or by 2020 in Japan. Do you think we'll find out more about that now? Will we actually learn official details on these rides, or do you think they'll keep those cards closer to their chest until the park actually opens?
If we do learn more about the theme park, it'd probably be late 2018. I feel like they want to get a bit more construction.
Yeah, I think anything else we find out about the theme park this year will come in 2018, will come via leaks. Like either design document leaks or what have you, but basically similar to what we've had, just like little drip feed bits of information, like, oh yeah, here's this, look at this design document for this ride. And right. I don't think we're going to start seeing official announcements and official media for it and advertisements until 2019 or later. I feel like it's still a bit too early. But maybe maybe we'll hear more about that Mario movie deal that's apparently in the works, or I mean, it does feel like Nintendo's definitely trying specifically, like they're making good on their promise to shop out their IPs in other ways, and more than just games and other media.
Right.
So I do think we're going to see a continued strong push from Nintendo on that in 2018.
If we see another movie from Nintendo, I would guess it would either be Zelda or Metroid.
I kind of think they would just focus on Mario for now, though. I don't know if I think they would be trying to produce 2 movies.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. They might see how Mario does.
That is true.
Although I hope that's not the case, because that means we're going to be in for a really long wait for whatever comes after Mario.
Luigi's Mansion spinoff. Honestly, I would love that. If we got a Luigi's Mansion spinoff movie.
That'd be pretty fantastic. All right, well, guys, do you have anything else you want to add to your expectations for Nintendo in 2018? Anything we need to touch on, or anything you want to reiterate?
Before we end it off, I guess, do you think they'll actually reach Kimishima's goal for the fiscal year? Do you think they'll actually sell another 20 million units for the system?
I think that's an achievable goal. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think it's achievable.
I think they can pull it off. They're breaking records, defeated the PlayStation 2 as far as first year sales. It caught up to the Wii U. As I talked about in the most recent podcast, my dad bought a freaking Switch.
Oh, wow.
He has not bought a game console since the Wii. And maybe the PlayStation 3. I forget which one he bought first. But yeah, and PlayStation 3 was mostly for Blu-ray at the time. But yeah, I introduced him to Stardew Valley and let him try out Jackbox, where he got to play that at Christmas with a bunch of family members, so everybody could actually play. And he was sold on it. I was surprised. No coaxing from me. He just went out and got himself a Switch.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, my dad has a Switch now. My dad's had a Switch for a few months now, too. So it does seem like the Switch is, in a way, acting like almost like a softer Wii U. It's not. I don't think it's reaching quite the broad demographic that the Wii did, but the people it is reaching, I think it's bringing people who wouldn't normally play normal games, typical console games. I think it's kind of bringing them into the fold. Like my dad would have never played Zelda before, and here he is playing Breath of the Wild for hundreds of hours.
Exactly. I mean, you just hit it on the head right there. I mean, even if the Switch isn't quite, like the gimmick isn't quite as obvious as the Wii's motion controls, the Switch is obviously resonating in a completely different way than traditional consoles like the PS4, Xbox, Wii U. It's scratching a different itch, and it's resonating differently, and Nintendo clearly knows that it's working. What they're doing is working, and now it's just a matter of keeping it up. And we really don't have any reason to assume they can't, so I'm going to just assume that they can until they show me otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
I really am just excited. It's really exciting because we don't know what's all coming. Like, we'll find out better in the January Direct, E3. That's always fun. We don't know what's coming. Nintendo has a lot of momentum behind it, and they're projecting 20 million more sales in the upcoming fiscal year. That tells you they probably have some pretty big games in the pipeline. So maybe This will in fact be the year. Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing,
Pokemon,
Fire Emblem, Pokemon. Yeah,
the year of dreams.
It's the year of dreams. That's right. I mean, it would be nuts if they somehow outclass what came already, being Zelda and Mario. If they can match that at the least, we are in for some very good things. So
I mean, God, if Nintendo can at least match or even if they don't outdo this year, if they don't outdo 2017 and just match 2017, that's incredible.
Yeah,
it is.
Like, that's 2 ridiculous years back to back. So I'm not even saying they have to exceed 2017, because let's be honest, 2017 was just on its own level. Really, like, geez. With Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, I mean, it's just crazy. But even if they just match it, like, that's incredible.
Yeah, It truly is. I guess that's pretty much it. So, anything else, guys, or are we done here?
I think I'm good.
So, I think that about wraps it up for our predictions and expectations for Nintendo in 2018. We may be back with a part 3, though, in which we answer your specific questions about what we expect in the following year or in this upcoming year. And with that, though, thanks for watching. Of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on Nintendo in 2018 and everything else as well. So, catch you later. Bye.